After looking at the definition of what is hospital, now we will see what are the development phases of hospital, how hospital has come up in the past. When we saw this, actually, we have seen that it is a part of a social institution. It is a part of a social community. So actually, it starts as a social institution and it passes through four phases. The first phase was for as a center of a religious practice. Actually, in AD or 10th AD, it was like 10th century. It was like that. It has been started as a center of religious practice, where what they used to do is the churches or the monks were what used to offer the care for the people who are sick, or they used to provide a care for those who are ill. So basically it started as a center of religious practice where people used to go to the churches and monks for getting and treatment from the nurses or from the fathers or from the pandits. So it initially started as a center of religious practice. At that time it was taken care of very well because there was a lot of administrative skills were there, and it was under the control of the church authorities. So it started as a center of a religious practice. Then the second phase came when it has been converted into a poor houses. Now when we say what do you mean by poor houses, hospital as a poor houses, the same centers which were initially taken care by the religious authority, now it was like the people used to go to this center for getting and treatment, and even though the medical skill or the nursing skill were there, like there were the churches, there were the sisters who used to provide the nursing care to the patient, or they used to treat the patient, but the administrative authority has withdrawn their control from the running of those hospitals. So actually this converted the center into a poor houses where only day-to-day activities were done, but there was no control, there was no administration authority were there. So it was just to take care of those who used to come, that too like no quality was there. So that's why this phase has called as a hospital as a poor houses. It would be same like those hospitals where there are no authority. It would be a local municipal hospitals where if the local government is not very active in their administration, so those hospitals are converted into a poor houses. So such a sort of a phase was there when the hospital was only converted into a poor houses. There was no administration control. They were only taking care of the nursing care and the medical care. The quality was not questioned. So this was the second phase of the hospital. Then there was a phase, the third phase, which came around the 15th century, where this hospital has been called as a death houses. When we say this hospital as a death houses, basically what it means is those people who are very ill or who are very chronically ill and their prognosis is very bad and it seems that they are going to die, so their relatives used to send these people to the hospitals or the religious center, and they used to not take care of, they used to leave them alone in this center so that they can die. That's why this hospitals has called as a hospital in this phase has been called as a death houses, where people used to think that if going to this hospital it may be that my prognosis is bad and I'm going to die. So this used to keep an like a negative impact on the patient's incurability, because once the patient is entered into the hospital, he has in his mind that I am going to die. So that was this phase when this hospital were called as a death houses, because people used to live alone there and they used to keep it was for those people who are chronically ill, their prognosis is bad, and even though their close relatives or family members are not willing to take care of them, so they used to send to such hospitals, and that's why this hospitals in this phase are called as a death houses. That was the third phase of an hospital. And then the fourth phase came as the center of a medical technology. Now this is the phase where our modern hospitals comes into. when we started using the medical technology in favor to the patient, like in favor to the quality of patient, or in favor to the quality of medical care, we started using the medical technology so that we can give a good medical practice, or we can give a quality of medical care to the patients. Now for this, initially in that also we have various phases. It started in 16th century. We have various phases in that. Initially when we started, we used to have the manual technique. We used to use the x-ray, but in 16th century the x-ray we used to use it is a dark room x-ray, where we used to produce the film as per the normal photography. Then we have a one phase in medical technology where we started using the semi-automated machine. So what we used to do is we used to do some part of it manually, and some part of it was done on an automatic basis. So that was a semi-automated, like we have a semi-automated biochemistry analyzers. Now then there is an advancement, and then we are using an advanced medical technology and automated medical technology, where everything is done on an automated basis, or on technology base. Now in that also medical technology is changing very rapidly, and that's why the hospitals are changing very rapidly. Initially, as I told, we used to have the dark room x-rays in the hospital, then we converted from dark room x-rays, then we have the digital x-rays. So we don't have a dark room x-rays now in the hospital. Now only X-ray will just give you a diagnosis, but if you want a proper diagnosis, we go to the CT scan machine, and CT scan and MRI. In that also we are making a lot of advancement. Like a CT scan, initially it was a 16 slicer, then comes into a 64 slicer. Similarly with the MRI. So day to day basis, this technology is changing. It's changing rapidly, and hospitals are making use of this technology so that they give a good quality of care to the patients. Since this technology is changing, that's why the role of hospital is also changing. Hospital has to keep updated with this advanced technology. That's why nowadays even there is a there is a lot of scope for the allied health professionals, where we need these professionals who can use this technology in favor of the patient, who can use how this technology can be useful to the patient in terms of saving their life, or in terms of treating their illness. So that's why we have a lot of scope in terms of medical technology. We need allied health professionals, we need biomedical engineers who can take care of these instruments on day-to-day operations. So these are the various phases of hospitals, where we saw that it started initially only with a center of a religious practice, where there was a religious authority used to take care of the administrative work. Then we started this, there was a second phase, that was a poor houses, where the clinical skill and medical skills were provided, but the administrative authority has been withdrawn. That's why the quality of such hospital has deteriorated, and it has been converted into a poor houses, where they used to only take care of day-to-day nursing skills and medical skills. Then we saw there was a one phase in which was called as a hospital as a death houses. Basically it was those hospitals where the chronically ill patient whose prognosis is very bad is thrown to the hospital, or is sent to the hospital so that they can die. That was the third phase of the hospital. And fourth, where we are more focusing, that is a center of medical technology, where we are using advanced medical technology in favor of patients, so that patient is treated very well and on a prompt basis. So that is a center of a medical technology. So here there is a lot of controlling is needed, administrative skill is needed, and that's why there is a role of the hospital administrators or hospital management in advanced hospitals or the new hospitals which are coming up. So these are the various developmental phases of hospital.